Frustrated that no one gets your vision? They don't do what you ask? Well, you know what? That's because you suck at describing your vision, and you need help. I need help, and that's why I have here today is Nicole Pitcher. She's a strategy and planning support partner with NicolePitcher.com. Nicole, welcome to the podcast.
Andre, my friend, long time coming. I'm glad I can be here today.
Just to let everyone know, Nicole has really helped me get my vision on paper. And there's a big gap that I didn't realize I was doing. And I think a lot of us entrepreneurs, especially visionary entrepreneurs, let's just throw a little bit of ADHD in there because the brain just goes 100 miles an hour, doesn't slow it down. There's always been a gap between me wanting to do something with the company versus the execution, because that execution part I've come to realize lately is I really suck at it. Right. And the thing is not that I suck at the vision part, it's the sucking at the execution. Is I can explain what I want, but it's how do I communicate that so the team can execute? Is that a good way to describe the difference?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there is often a gap. Visionary, you said that word visionary. And to me, visionary means future focus. To people like you, Andre and I know we've worked together, so I can kind of say this with an assumption. The future is so clear to you. Like the possibility and the outcome, when you have like that light bulb moment, it lights up. What often is the gap is that how you're going to get there, right? And this is where you need who and team members. And it won't be sometimes even in your realm of consideration to need to lay out the context step by step to that visionary path, right? So this is where having someone who's a little more strategic, perhaps a little more follow through in that world can really take your plan and help you to find clarity in what comes next and laying it out step by step so that when you go to your team member or whoever you need to get on board with that vision, it's not a fire hose. Yeah. It's kind of a stepping stone. You've laid out some clear stepping stones to get them into action.
And you just saying that it gives me the shivers. Like, and the thing is, that's not my way of doing things. It's not the way I work. So when I got to step it out slowly, get a little bit of the impatience there. But the thing is, a lot of the high achieving entrepreneurs, just one speed. They got one speed and going. We want everyone to follow, but damn it, why can't you keep up? And I think that's where the gap is. And I got to be cognizant of that. It's like Sarah, my EA, she says, I'm the bullet train. She's a cargo train. And when she realized that to stop keeping up with me, as long as I was dropping the cargo by the track, she can chug behind and pick it up as I go. But yet I still sometimes have to wait at the next train station until the team shows up.
Oh my God, I love that analogy. And you actually feed right into an analogy I make about myself and the work I do, Andre, which is I'm the bridge that holds both of those. Yeah. So often the work that I'm doing is bridging that gap. And I call it like helping the entrepreneurs take a breath before they react. So I think often, you come and we're both in this world of strategic coach and like other levels of learning and growing and thinking. And people like you have a new idea and you're like on board, excited, bright, shiny new thing. And your team will need you to deliver that new idea in a way that's like engaging and powerful. And so what I do is help you to take a breath, to get really clear on what it is you want to achieve, get really, really clear on the delegations that need to happen so that when you do bring that bright, shiny new object to the people that you're working with, it can happen in a more powerful way. You've put a little bit of thought into it so it's not a fire hose. It's more of a maybe a garden hose. You're still going to be you, and you're still going to move fast.
It's still going to be a spray, but not as powerful and high volume.
A little more focused, right? A little more focused.
But the other thing too is we don't scare the shit out of the team. That's one thing I realized with time is I come with a new idea. This is what I want to do, and you get all they think I'm being grandiose, but it's very clear what I want the end result to be. right?
Yeah,
And then in a way they get scared because, oh, son, I don't know how to get there, but we need to get there.
that's
And
right.
then we're like, that's easy. We just go forward.
Right, right. And so it's funny. So one of, a strength that I bring, and I'm in the world of, a lot of profiles that you do too, but one of the strengths I have in Clifton Strengths Finder is context.
Yeah.
And that lives in direct, if we're talking about a spectrum of strengths, you
Mm-hmm.
have futuristic on one end of the spectrum and
Yeah.
context on the opposite end. So I think what really strategic folks in your life, entrepreneurs, are there for, the value that they can create for you is using the past to think of the questions and see those obstacles that might not be clear to you.
Mm-hmm.
When you see the vision and you're going to get there and you're revved up with a lot of optimism for that vision, right? So the context folks, the strategic planning folks are going to say, and what if this? And what if
Yeah.
that? Right. And so if you have the opportunity to think through some of those what ifs that your team's inevitably going to ask you before you even get to them, that just helps you to make that sale and get them on board all that quicker.
Okay, I think you just helped me make a connection. Actually, as much as we work
Yeah.
together, you really pissed me off at times, but for the right reasons. Like, I mean, it's frustrating because she really pulls out the details on the procedure and the system. And to me, anyways,
Yeah.
before I forget my thought, you just said something there. Is I think what happens is the team needs more direction on execution, because for me and most
Yeah.
visionary entrepreneurs, we're very adaptable. It doesn't matter. I don't need a big plan. Once I hit a wall, I can adapt, I can change, I can pivot and go on to the next, and we'll get there. While the team they can't do that. That's why I'm in the position
Yeah.
I am, and they're not, And the
Absolutely.
thing is, here's a secret. If you lay it out better for them, they get it done quicker than you would.
And not only lay it out, give them some contingency plans,
Yes.
give them a little sense of security, because what a great employer does is create a really safe work environment. And one of
Mhm.
the ways you can give psychological safety to the people working with you is giving them and contingency plans. And if we hit this wall, here's some options.
Right.
Right. So giving them that little bit of cushion just gives them that safety and and then they're feeling safer to take risks when you ask them to, because you've spent some time thinking things through with them.
Yes, it helps them. Yeah. With all those extra plans, they can take risks, which is nothing compared to what we determine as risk. That
100%.
was one of my big aha moments a while ago, is they're taking a massive risk. I'm
Yeah.
like, are you kidding me? That's not a risk, but to them it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. And so with that, and you have, you're a high quick start. So risk is your middle name. But you ask someone who's a little bit lower on that Colby quick start set, what feels like risk to them.
Yeah.
But again, you're giving them psychological safety. If you've thought through a few contingencies or obstacles ahead of what they're inevitably going to be bringing to you, because they
Right.
can't help it. It's just the way their brain works.
Yeah. And that's the thing, that's why we don't have
Yeah.
5 of me in the company,
That's right.
right? One is enough, maybe too much, but and I'm speaking not just me, Andre, but that visionary entrepreneur who's got one speed,
Absolutely.
and highly misunderstood when we need the team there. Now, the one thing I want to touch a little bit, you keep using, you provide the strategy. You're the strategic
Yeah.
partner. Yeah. One of my top strengths is strategy. Okay.
Right.
Now, the thing is, though, I want the listeners to understand is I think every successful entrepreneur, there's some strategy strength there. But the
Yes.
strategy you're speaking about is completely different than the strategy that I'm good at. I'm still of a global
Absolutely.
strategy. It's more milestone based. And then your
Yeah.
strategy is between those milestones so that the team can execute. Is that a fair assumption?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so it's funny. So strategy in the world of Clifton Strengths Finder is its own strength, right? But Clifton Strength Finder also has a whole group of strengths that are called strategic thinking. So strategy is a strategic thinking strength.
Yeah.
And I don't have strategy in my top 5. It's somewhere down in my 20,
Yeah.
that individual strategy strength. What I do have is 4 out of 5 strategic thinking strengths.
Mhm.
Right. So
That's
I'm
a great
in the world of
differentiator.
strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I've worked with a few entrepreneurs who have strategy in their top 5. It's very common. And I would call your strategy, and you talk it global, it's like when the plane's flying to Europe and it's at 40,000 feet, it's at the highest it's going to be between Canada and Europe. You're over Russia, you're
Mhm.
way up in almost outer space. That is the land you are in. You can see the future so clearly, you know where we're going. Your team is boots on the ground, chasing the plane. You're throwing things down at them. They're catching it, but they're moving you forward, boots on the ground. And then there's someone like me. And the thing I bring to entrepreneurs is objective strategic thinking.
Ah,
I'm objective. I'm not boots on the ground. I don't want to know the ins and out of your business, because what that makes me, at that point is I lose my objectivity to you as a strategic thinking partner.
mhm.
So I know what Andre's up to in the next 90 days, but day to day, that's not my realm. I'm bringing your 50,000 foot strategy to a 10,000 foot level that feels much more tangible to your team. Instead of them staring off trying to find the plane's coasting in, and it feels
Yeah,
a little closer to the ground so they can catch those boots on the ground to keep you going day to day. Does
right.
that make sense?
Yeah, it does to me.
Yeah.
And like, can you just give a little bit of the process that you do with the like? I think so. What you're also saying is it's external. You're not part of my company. You're not part of the other companies that you help with. You're
That's
just completely
right.
outside. You show up every once in a while for an hour,
Yeah.
virtually or whatever, and then that's it, in and out. And I think that's very key for the objective part, because there's no influence, there's
Yeah.
no bias. You don't know any of the gossip. You don't know any of the politics. You're just
Exactly.
yeah,
I'll know high level your team strengths. Most people will share the Colbys of their team with me because I have that knowledge and
yeah,
it fills my context. But, let's use people in strategic coach for a second, or anything that goes by quarters. If you're in a quarterly coaching program of some kind, you have a plan. And then what? Right?
hmm,
And then what? So you come back and you're like, I don't know where to start. Where do I put my focus first? Because I have 10 new great ideas. And then you have someone who's going to help you come up with a plan for that next 90 days.
yeah,
So again, I'm a pause at this 90 to, let's say, 30-day level where, I meet with people, some just once a quarter, and it's
hmm,
downloading what their goals are for that quarter and helping to lay out a path that's clear to their team. Some people are looking for a little more accountability. I'm meeting with them monthly. We're checking in, we're re-scoping the plan as we need to, and action happens. Some people want to meet weekly just to look at how they're spending their time and helping them use it in a more strategic way. So one of the things I do is, great, you can have a clear vision, but if you're not using your time efficiently,
hmm,
then that's a whole other issue, because you could have the best vision, but if you don't create the space you need for yourself to get there, and the space you need to be in communication with your team in an efficient and effective way, then the vision's, it's nice to have, right? But my motto is, if it's not scheduled, it's not happening.
yeah. I know. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, in a way, that's kind of how I got my ADHD being wired. Is if it's not scheduled, it won't get done.
That's
Yeah,
right. I
and
don't.
like, and then just to go a little bit more on this, because like you said, visionary is future focus. With our time blindness, I was talking to Eric Tuckman. He's very an expert on time blindness, ADHD. He goes,
Yeah,
visioning the future is completely different than executing for the future. And
that's
that's
right.
what you bring in. So you really help with the time blindness to bring it down, because the team
Yeah.
does care about the vision, but not as much as you, because I think they care more about how to get there, the priorities and the
Yeah.
direction from
Their
you.
role,
Yeah.
their role in the system, right? My role is you, like what you're up to. Yes, you have a team executing for you, but when you work with someone like a strategic support partner like myself, I'm it's more about what is your role within that, because you might delegate everything, Andre, 80% of it, but you still have responsibility to lead the team and to show up as your best self and to be making clear delegations and communications to your team. And that's what I'm interested. I'm interested in supporting you in your part of the business. And sometimes that means delegating to the team. And sometimes that might mean hopping on with a call with you and your assistant to look at how you're spending your time and getting an outside perspective to come in and shake things up when things are feeling stale or stagnant. So that's another role I can play, is that periodic plug-in to be that bridge to supercharge teamwork when it needs to happen, when you need a little bit more objective strategy.
And you feel this is one of the big things that entrepreneurs are missing, is this is objective strategic partnering?
Absolutely. And I think it's just that having that support that's not just tactical. So many people, when you talk about your team, there are those boots on the ground tactics, get it done, execution strength folks.
Yeah.
And there's just that higher level strategy that needs to come before executions can happen smoothly. You can give delegations without strategy, but I'm sure that's why many people feel like a bottleneck.
That's a shotgun effect.
It's a shotgun.
Yeah.
It's a, strategic coach Shannon Waller uses the term drive-by delegation.
Yeah.
Tossing it at your team, or there's a way to stop, do it once and do it effectively. That's the other thing. Without strategic delegations, you're giving delegations multiple times. You're having to follow back up because you didn't give clear by whens. You didn't, lay out your exact expectations. So I think it's, give delegations once, give them effectively, communicate once, communicate effectively.
And it reduces frustration that no one seems to get it.
Right. And your frustration is yours. As much as it might be the people who are causing frustration, that's a feeling you own. So one of the ways you can take full ownership of that frustration is willing to see where you're the cause, willing to take the breath, taking that extra pause before you fire hose. It will lead to a lot less frustration.
Yeah, because the one thing I do recall is you forcing a call before this discussion, before we recorded, so he can get focus and make sure that I apparently would be a little more structured, or not structured, but if I had a plan and a direction on this.
Well, and you know what that does is supercharge our teamwork, Andre.
Oh,
right?
No, I'm not. Yeah, I meant it in a positive way, because I
felt
a lot better after it, because we came up with a plan and a direction, and we're both on board. And, in this case, it was really helpful because it was your expertise I'm after. So I went to, in a way, you provide me the direction because of your expertise, which is coincidentally what you help me get things together. But I think that's the lesson here is, these little chats or getting these objective conversations are very key. And I found it very beneficial that they were outside of the office environment.
Yeah.
Not someone from the office is a part of that objective discussion or strategy, because it's not necessarily I listened or went by all the direction. Actually, you never gave me direction. Just with your questioning, make sure it was that we're thinking it objectively. You're able to pull away any biases or misunderstandings, and get more. And then when, why, what, because I never realized I do a lot of vague statements. I think Visionaries is a lot of to the world. To everyone else, not to me. It's not vague to me, but it's vague to everyone. What do you mean you want to get there? There's like 500 million ways to get there. No, there's only one.
Yeah,
but to everyone else, there's 5 million.
That's right. So it's, I think one of my unique abilities is just asking the right questions.
Yeah. I definitely say
and
that.
So, and asking the right questions as your buddy, and that's the other thing. I am a partner. I am not an employee. I am not in my title. I use partner because I want to show up as a thinking partner.
Right.
I am not, there are no power dynamics of boss. I bring a background of 10 years, over 10 years, being a high-level executive assistant in the entrepreneurial world,
Yeah.
moving more into that strategy within an entrepreneurial company, and then owning a business myself. So, I can ask questions as a team member, as a consultant, and as a fellow owner, and really
Right.
pull out the context that a lot of my ADHD visionary friends, just their brains don't go there, so it's
Right.
just that pause and opening up new neural pathways, perhaps with some questions.
It's not that we don't care. It's just like you said, our brain
Oh,
doesn't
no,
go there. That's not our
just doesn't
default.
go there.
It just doesn't
Just
go
not your
there.
default,
Yeah.
right? So let me be that strategic thinking brain. Let me be that partner.
So with these frustrations that no one seems to get our vision, do you find a lot of entrepreneurs will actually start to bottle up some of our visions or be afraid to share?
Well, I think it's just that frustration. I think it's just when things are bottled up, people get up to a point where it's like, I'm not executing, I'm giving up. It's like a throwing hands up in the air.
Yeah.
Or it's a blow up on a team member because over a small thing, like when bottled up emotion
Yeah.
does not make you the best, strongest, most clear visionary leader that you can be.
Yeah.
And you become a bottleneck. And of course, when you feel like a bottleneck, you feel like you're letting your team down, that just feeds the cycle of frustration. You're
Yeah.
frustrated because they're not doing what you're wanting them to do, but you're frustrated at yourself for being a bottleneck as well.
Yeah.
So thinking it through thoroughly, knowing where your place is and where you want them to be in the process means they can take the ball and run really quickly when you hand it over.
So what if I told you, okay, fine, Nicole, I know you
Yeah.
do this, but I got a couple other entrepreneurs that have strategy. They're very strategic, but we'll just
Yeah.
get those objective thinking from then and get the direction. So 3 visionary entrepreneurs getting together on how to plan something for the team to run. What's your reaction to that?
A lot of great ideas with not a lot of follow through. So I think that one of what I do, what a typical call with Nicole looks like is you get to sit back. I lead the calls. You'll come with a vision. I understand that you're going to come with a lot of new ideas, and I'm going to pull it out of you in a way that has a little bit of structure. But 3 entrepreneurial visionary people get together and have a great conversation, and then what? Right. Yeah. So I think, one of the takeaways, and I'm a simple girl. I work on Google Docs. I'm not doing anything. It's simple. It's like, you're going to get a Google Doc with the 4 strategic actions you committed to that I captured as you spoke. No need for you to take notes, with who's and by when's. So that you can then, I CC an assistant if you have one, they support you in executing that, or you have a really clear 4 bullet points to run with.
Right.
And it's not just in your head, it's laid out in a sequential way so that you can hand that off in a smooth way to the next person that needs to run with it.
What's one of the biggest obstacles of someone hiring a person like you?
I feel like,
not wanting to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it comes out of that guilt we feel when we're the bottleneck or we're not moving as fast as we want to. We have a guilt that we're not worthy. We're not worthy of strategic support. I should be able to do this on my own.
Exactly. Yeah. I've gotten this far without anyone. I've always done
I
my things
should be
myself.
able to do this, right? And my good friend from Strategic Coach, I know you know her as well, Marilyn Waller, taught me that shit is a swear word.
Yeah, don't shit on yourself.
Don't shit on yourself, right? So you are worthy of the investment into structures that are going to uplift you, make you a stronger leader. Like, I think the obstacle to overcome is yourself.
Always.
And so get over yourself, know that you're worthy. You've gotten this far. That's great. And your next great leap is worthy of the investment that's going to free you up to be your best self.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing we got to realize is if you got a support partner that's direct, not afraid to challenge you. And I think that's very key. You need that, not just a yes person.
That's
But if you
right.
spend an hour with that one person and then you save 4 hours of having to re-talk to your team to do stuff, and they can get things done quicker and without your involvement, you do that math.
Absolutely.
I can't do math in my head, but that's a lot of math there. Big numbers
Wouldn't
multiplied.
you love to just hand over a document in a team meeting and have, like a lot of the things I do is just, if you're in coach world, reminding you have an impact filter, reminding you to fill
Yes,
those
mom.
out.
Yes, mom. Yes, dear.
Right? Like you have, and it's not just coach folks. There's so many tools out there. There's so many ways that are out there to simplify the things that you find overwhelming and frustrating. And I'd like to think one of the things that I can bring, or any strategic someone in your life, is resourcefulness.
Right.
Directing you to resources so it doesn't have to be as complicated as it feels.
Right. Wow. Yeah, and you got lots here to unpack. For the listeners, as much as we need help for air quotes ADHD, and it's not really the issue that we need help on, is if you're a visionary entrepreneur, like you said, Nicole, visionary is all about future focus. And we know where we want to be. How to get there is the challenge with a team, because we're not communicating that very well, because they're the ones that are boots on the ground, right?
That's right.
Since we are very adaptable as entrepreneurs, the team is not. So we need to provide an executable direction and plan. Like you said, provides a lot of alternatives so that they can take their risk, which is not the same level as ours. And here's a smack to the face, because that's what I kind of took it as. Your frustrations are your own. So take ownership of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in the end, we do our best job is seeing where we want to go. Being the, I guess I hate the word cheerleader, but getting the team there and supported. But the execution part is something we lack that skill. Be it the ADHD brain with time blindness, or just our ability as an entrepreneur. That's like you said, our brain does not default to the executable part. It's just getting there, head down, ass up, just get her done. Right.
That's right.
And people like you and your services have definitely helped being an objective, strategic partner. So any last words to the listeners, and then let us know where we can get a hold of you.
I think I just really, really want to reiterate that, so many people will spend money on developing their team and feel guilt about developing themselves, right? So give yourself the freedom and the gift of finding strategic support. You are worth it. And, I'd be happy to chat to anyone who's in Andre's circle. A friend of Andre is a friend of mine. And so I can be found at NicolePitcher.com. A great way to connect with me is on LinkedIn as well. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Nicole Pitcher. And again, I'm a strategy and planning support partner for visionary entrepreneurs like Andre. And if it's not me, I would love to help you to direct you to, the resources that might be able to support you. So I will leave it there, Andre.
Thank you. And I think that's also a good point for you to realize, the listener, is Nicole might not work for you, but there's someone else that might work with you or for you. Like it's a compatibility too. And you need that trust factor for it to work effectively, honestly.
That's right.
So,
right. And making sure you have the support you need. It is possible.
So for you, the listener, I'd like you to take a look at how you're delegating. Are you delegating just the vision, or are you actually helping delegate the execution? And just be true and honest to yourself. If it's an execution you're having a challenge with, go search yourself a strategic, objective partner. So thanks again, Nicole.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. And thank you to the listener for learning with me. Talk to you soon.